I know all the people who have gotten the screeners have been like, episode 5's really rough. Episode 5's really rough.
I am excited. I'm about to have a great time.
You don't understand how much I love it when Armand is insane. I don't care what he does to Daniel. I want to see it.
Let's go.
Put him in a saw trap. And give me the recording. I'm here for it.
So
I want it.
excited.
I need it.
So
But Armand is willing to concede to that emotional power. But because he agrees to concede to that emotional power.
And it can also be revoked at any time. So, like, that's...
But
so,
Louis
that's,
also...
and that's why it's a soft power.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Because, like...
But Louis is so positive it won't be revoked.
Yeah.
And that's important to know. That Louis is positive it won't be revoked. Is that reality? We'll find out in the next 4 episodes. Okay, so I'm Jude.
I'm Mari.
We're Two Goths in a Coffin. We're doing the reaction video for episode 5 of Interview with the Vampire. We've been waiting all day to watch it.
I am both terrified, but also super excited. There's a wide range of emotions I'm feeling right now. So I'm ready to, like, get into it. But we'll see how it goes. Also, I'm drinking coffee right now, but, like, a special coffee.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys had seen, but there was, like, that Dead Sled coffee, like, promo thing with Interview with the Vampire, so we have the Louis flavor we're drinking right now.
He's delicious, by the way.
I was just making sure I had put cream in my coffee. I forgot, and I was like... We had this earlier today. We also had the Lestat one.
Put in a timeout.
You put in a timeout?
We haven't even started the episode yet.
No, we haven't. We're doing the intro, and you chose to say that, so...
I didn't even really say anything. I just mouthed it. That's
okay.
different.
Well... It is pretty good. I think between the two, between the Louis and the Lestat one, I like the Louis one better.
I definitely agree with that.
It's just more... Well, mine still has traces of the Lestat one, because I wasn't even finished, and then I poured the other one in without paying attention. So there's, like, this much left of the Lestat one. So there is still that, like, raspberry-ness here. But they actually pair well together, so it's fine. Anyway, we're not talking about coffee.
That's not why we're here, actually.
No, sorry.
That was too long. We talked about the coffee too long, actually.
Yeah. So we're gonna get into the episode right now.
I'm fine. I'm so calm and normal. I'm so calm and normal.
Have him saying what happened next in no time.
Would you like to join us?
You go ahead, have your fun.
I see they've separated.
I'm already losing it. And this is also we already seen.
Things got a little heated with the boy. Things got heated with the boy. Broken into our apartment. I'm sorry. Grab what?
Oh, it's just a note to my assistant. It's nothing.
What did you want to grab, Daniel?
Louis, I don't know, his, like, tone is so, like, I'm like...
Eternal life ahead of us. Funny thing.
Oh, it's him!
Is this Malik?
Malik.
It is, sir.
Not your concern.
Hey. Who are you? Friends?
If you'll excuse us.
Your friend here is a hot-headed young man.
Does he need to hunt someone? He doesn't do the
What was
ethical
that?
blood?
Armand rarely eats, so when he does, he prefers to hunt for it.
Does Malik know he's lunch?
Are you recording?
No.
Malik knows. Someone half in love with an easeful death.
I'm already losing my
He's
mind.
ditching us.
He'll have Malik begging for it in an hour. His methodology, it's never violent, I assure you.
Oh my god, this is already a
Follow
lot
up
already.
with the vampire Armand about diet and exercise.
Sold them at recess. Little dirty, a little deceitful, but it's enterprising. Is that what makes you fascinating? The girlfriend! In high school, you told a girl you don't need...
Let's change it up. I was going over my notes last night. Something he said on his initial flight to the bookshelves caught my ear. This time I won't save your life.
Armand could see I was partial to you. Armand preserves my happiness, even when I don't or can't. He had a hunch you might prove fruitful in later times.
Okay, sure. Let's go with that. Our first interview, it's a fog. I mean, it's the 70s, all a blur. Woke up in a parking lot in Milwaukee once, don't know how I got there.
What's the question, Daniel?
Milwaukee.
We had drinks, you paid. We cabbed to your place in Visceral, you paid.
That's right.
Did we...
Whoa! I've been waiting for this.
I like what you've done with the place.
Few of these places.
Oh, yeah?
That was real.
How many?
Many.
Are you a real estate mogul?
Doing a lot of things.
Oh.
Okay. I think the answer is yes.
Oh. Oh, like he's like, I'm just, okay. He's so
Oh, the
tiny.
coffin?
Scary boy?
Boy?
The bed?
So you...
This is crazy.
Okay. I mean, I'm in countercultures. So am I the first guy that you brought back here?
Everything about this is just...
The fifth?
Gone.
What do I seem like now, boy?
The veteran of many wars. It's yours.
Oh my god. What is...
Cocaine's a fun boy's drug. I'm not fun.
Why
That's
is he
yourself.
I'm not... I can't. This is...
I prefer you like this. All dark and real. Maybe I could, cheer you up.
What? Okay.
What are you doing?
He's like, put your clothes back on.
Fulfilling my side of the social contract.
Do you normally interview your subjects with your shirt off?
Embarrassing.
So, we didn't.
He didn't say that. Oh, okay, he did say that.
I really thought we did.
Do you
Wow.
want to now? He sometimes lingers when boats come into harbor.
Whoa. Whoa.
San Francisco.
Whoa.
Psychedelics, disco biscuits, angel powders.
Did he just
and
ask me if he
young
wanted
men.
to now?
Just about every night I lived there. You offered something
You know what?
off the menu.
I think I may
Louis
be
Point Delap
back
from New
on
Orleans.
the
We
Daniel
specialize in low-end real
Lee
estate.
train.
Oh, I put to San Fran as a hub for homophiles.
Oh, interesting. Interesting antique
Paris.
language there.
In the 1940s.
To know why you, believe that.
I'm gonna.
Are those fangs?
Sorry. Let me calm down.
Look, man.
Stop.
Are you the Zodiac Killer?
That's so funny. Maybe.
Everything about this is crazy.
I'm actually turning a corner on Luke. I didn't care about him, but he's actually good. Yeah, because what you need is more.
Like, why you talked to me in the
first place. He had curiosity, swagger. Nah, I would chat
Like-
with others, and who would come looking if another drug
Let's be
addict
realistic.
disappeared?
Swagger.
Berkeley Barb. Malik will be dead in 2 hours.
Eviscerating Lestat.
He had a dark pull, a numbing affect on the senses. He was a handsome saint.
Yeah, I mean, I know the time.
Stripped away his superficial charms beneath his flimsy gentleman's veneer. Lestat was vulgar, maniacal, blind, and sterile, and contemptible. Big time asshole. He appeared
Exactly.
Exactly.
a man made of dried twigs.
You're not crazy and neither am I.
Girl, exactly.
Yeah.
For all that Lestat boasted about his love of music, he played without an iota of feeling. Nothing. No one home. Like an automaton, plunking away at the notes with all the emotional acuity of a monster.
Yeah, but you were suggestible. I mean, he lured.
I was a moron.
Will you, do the fang thing again?
Me? I like.
I love that, man. Just for reference, that was Louis DuPont de Lac just now, making his fangs come out.
With her. Get off that bench, brother.
I pictured her on the platform,
That's so easy for
boarding
you
the
to say,
train,
Daniel.
Yeah, that's the
carrying her
point.
off
Yeah.
in her future.
Throw it away?
You've
I
overstepped.
think it's interesting he thinks that being a vampire frees him from the burdens of life instead of just extending those burdens.
And that's what he didn't understand. Louis like,
She what?
It's not that he's like
Well, I can see where this is
immune
going.
to it,
and
it's just that it's unbearably long.
I won't waste it. I think you could use me. I think we have an energy, you and me. I could be your Lestat, your Claudia, but better. I mean, I got a little bit of both of them in me, plus a few things they don't.
This.
Ah!
You asshole boy!
Oof.
You don't know what human life is like. I mean, you've forgotten, man. I mean, you don't understand the
Visceral.
meaning of your own story.
Chomp.
Hey,
Sean.
stop!
Chomp.
Suicide hotline.
His face.
Don't say to the person on the other end of the line, hey, why don't you cheer the fuck up?
I overreact.
Sure
No,
that
but for real,
killing
Daniel
me
being
was a
like,
totally
you know,
warranted
I was
response
stupid
to
as-
my
Yeah,
idiocy.
him saying like I was doing everything wrong and I was taunting you.
The sheer
I
number of
provoked you.
times I said, and then what?
All the drugs in your blood, it all went back.
But
to
Louis
before I
trying to
started
play it
the
off.
Reading journalism.
He's trying
And
to
then
take
what?
culpability
What she
for this
keeps doing.
moment. It's actually my fault. I overreacted.
Daniel.
Killing
Interesting.
myself. Killing myself.
A pattern, perhaps, Louis?
Hesitation.
Your assistant. She's a bit of an audiophile, and, well, she cleaned it up a bit.
Who's this lady?
Pressed pause on the betrayal of it all, and
Honestly,
I
great way
was
to go.
literally thinking that. Oh,
I'm like, dang.
wet thud.
that's him getting a concussion. Armand saving me. He cracked my skull.
Sorry.
What? What?
Morning!
I lost time.
Once again, I'm here with mop and mindlessness to clean it up.
So the room got dirty. So what? I'll clean it up.
No, I clean it up. You make the mess and I clean it up. Mark it on the calendar, align it with Ursa Major, Louise Triannual. Fuck off and find me with apologies to follow.
I'm sorry.
But seek comfort in the arms of lowlifes and unfortunates from the drugs you stopped
Oh,
them
this
with.
is boring. You're boring. You are so boring.
Here come the drugs.
Colorless.
Up the fangs,
Flavorless.
down the throat,
Dull.
to the heart and off
Dull.
the fingers, feet,
Dull
and
nights.
wallowing brain.
Dull weeks. Dull months. Dull as fuck. Suffocation by the world's softest, beigest pillow. The 10 hours I spent with that boy. Then decades with you.
Oh my god. I'm
I would have killed myself.
Half black. Does he want to lick my boots or chop my hands off? Is it the gremlin or the good nurse tonight? Huh?
Oh, this is crazy. Oh, this is
Okay,
crazy.
But am I? Okay, let's wake the boy up and let's try you. I'm the vampire Armand, and my daddy vampire grew me into a little bitch.
My brother,
The
he
vampires
tossed
have
himself
murdered
off
my
a roof.
daddy.
My
Made me
sister,
pretend I
she
didn't have
buried
a
me
dick
alive.
for 240 years.
My daughter was my sister, was my throw pillow. When he wouldn't look at me kindly, Lestat.
I talked shit about him the whole time.
The name! Unuttered in our home for 23 years, said over and over again until it was pounding in my brain like a hammer.
I loved her.
But she didn't love you. Not like he did. Not like I have.
I know! Yes, I know. Thank you, Sam. It's creeping back. Harris,
Oh my god, this is so what?
can you hear that? Can you hear her? She's calling me.
Slams, steps, metal door.
Oh my god. Stop! Oh my god. Oh my god.
I walked into the sun. Siren, like a noise in my body.
Shaking.
I walked out into the sun. I think so.
I'm sorry, I
Pieces of my
can't.
life gone. I knew who I was without those pieces.
Wait. Sidestep the big picture. Get the story straight first.
Oh god, oh god.
Must be exquisite.
What happened? He's alive?
The boy. The fascinating boy. He's fine.
Don't.
He's just fine.
Don't.
No, he's fine. You're fine. This is fine. We're all fine.
You two kept me in that apartment for how long?
You were there, Daniel.
I don't remember. That's why I'm asking.
What? Whoa! Oh
I
shit.
can remember a few things. Duct tape, bleach.
I love how serial killer this is.
I can see him walking out of the bedroom. I can hear you, but I can't see you. The door frame is blocking it.
Okay, yeah.
Investigation. I could be on my knees in a second.
Oh,
Bartering with desire, is that what
there go
makes
his
you
knees.
You didn't even want me in the end. I mean, look at my neck.
I think Armand's like that makes it worse.
Boyfriend, no legs.
You think in all these fools you arrived at
I was like the unraveling. Like he didn't even have to.
to self-efface. Is that what makes you fascinating?
What are you screaming in the background?
It makes this so bad.
Teach me how to be fascinating.
Leave him be, Armand!
In middle school, you stole
This is
Dad's
so
Playboy
scary.
magazine, sold them at recess. A little dirty, a little deceitful, but it's enterprising. Is that what makes you fascinating? In high school, you told a girl you'd only do her if she had a paper bag over her
I
head.
still love the
You
music in the
agreed and
background,
you
too.
did
It's
it
just
even
like
as she cried. A
so
sprinkle of
sinister.
coldness in you, is that?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, the
My first memory.
Armadillo song coming back in here.
Of being run down by slavers in Delhi. My second.
And then
My second, you don't deserve. Unworthy. Oh, I love Igor Black Hole. Because
I'll keep digging.
Armand is frequently described as a black hole.
I'm not hopeful there's much more to you, Daniel, other than a hole.
Rage is an imprecise emotion. I'd hurt him, but I was
again,
fragile.
Louis trying to.
Spiro Agnew.
Daniel,
He's saying he took it out on Daniel because he couldn't take it out on Louis. I was fragile and invalid.
Resigning in light of ongoing investigations. Federal prosecutors will soon present evidence to a Baltimore grand jury over the vice president's allegedly receiving illegal.
Saturday. It was Saturday.
He
but
said I
we
won't
met
say
on
where.
Tuesday. So I was the house pet for what? 1, 2, 3, 4 days. Your boyfriend.
Louis so desperate for him to
was
remember.
in a trance of some sort.
He couldn't see. Just
lunch is almost over. Try.
You fucking try. You were there.
Go back to the chair.
Saturday
The TV.
Vice President Spiro T. Agnew may be placed.
Feeding the box shit is bullshit.
You're in the chair.
Sorry.
Some stations may be charging less for gas this Saturday.
Coffin.
Listing the maximum price they can
I should not.
oh, like a little baby. Sorry. I mean, it's ghoulish.
And comes chasing after you again.
This is so sick.
Yeah.
If you want the insanity back, if you want to escape from this prison of empathy I've locked you away in, all you had to do was ask, Louis.
He's the prison
If I
of
got out of
empathy.
service, I'd like to perform before I
Oh my god.
know where he is.
What the fuck? Oh, okay.
I found his voice among the many.
He was talking to him.
No. I told him I was with you.
This is crazy. What?
He's on the phone.
I told him you were thinking of him again. The start.
No. Where it is.
Yes. I'm here.
Oh my
He's
god.
waiting for you.
Mm,
I'm with him now. Yeah?
This is.
You wanted to say something to me.
You wanted to say something to me.
Why are you real? Tell him I love him, Armand. I love you. Tell him, Armand.
Oh.
Rachel.
Rachel.
Reminder of the worst of it.
Oh my god, this is killing me. I can't do this. Please, cut the cameras. Cut the cameras.
I'll finish clean. Rest.
I'm smiling, but not actually
Rest.
smiling. It's just
Rest.
because sometimes when I'm overwhelmed, I'm.
You said that to me too.
Oh my god, I can't.
Shh. Rest now. A woman in the your mother, vacuuming on Valium. A genteel drinking problem like your father. Your wife counting down your thrusts.
Whoa.
Your children shying away from you. All the confidence and hope of your youth. Yes.
Also, this is exactly what they do at the theater with those people.
Yeah.
It is the comfort we all long for. The end. Rest. Rest.
How do you get them to beg for it? Claudia asked Santiago.
You rest now.
I find the vulnerability within the object, Armand once said to Louis. His little teeth. Why are your teeth so little?
Kitten teeth.
Meow.
No, Arlo. I'm not asking.
Bringing this all back after the 4 days of what we just saw.
Because now he's willing to concede control.
Yeah.
When before he wasn't. Because the whole thing they said before, a dreamy sort of balance, it is a dream in the sense that it's not real. Mm-hmm. It follows the logic of it works because we've said it does. Mm-hmm. And you see that in this moment proves the fiction of like equity in this relationship, because it only feels equal when Armand allows it to feel equal. But if he were to flex at any moment, it falls completely apart.
Exactly.
There's a couple of things here where it's like, I don't need your permission. I ask it out of courtesy.
Page 484. Listen as though I'm the voice of God or an angel talking to you, telling you this room doesn't matter. This night, there are stories that need to be told. If things ever get bad again, these are the words you'll hear in your mind like a tape playing over and over. Like
Video
a
for the
song
class,
stuck in your brain.
there's stories out there that need
These
to be
words will
told.
hold you up and carry
Wow.
you.
Circling all back, all from like
That's how
Louis.
the show started.
Why does it make me tear up though? Because like,
That's actually a
dang.
really beautiful thing to say to him.
That's a freebaser I befriended for a few days at the drug den.
Oh my god. Stop.
Because it was
Cut the cameras again. I'm literally losing it.
I destroyed 2 marriages. I fucked up 2 daughters. But I stayed a journalist. I was never so lost I couldn't hold down a job. I think, gave you, and I remember right up until when you bit me. And then both our memories cut out. Same precise edit on 2 brains.
Oh no. What are they about to say?
His
Why is he dressed like this?
Entertaining. He made it all the way to Burj Khalifa.
Why
He
is
took the guy's. That was the guy's sunglasses. He took them off his face.
Paused Paris. Reminisced about San Francisco.
Oh.
And?
It started with Daniel. He asked why you saved him in 1970.
Why is he dressed like this though? I'm trying to be.
I could see you were partial to him.
I'm gonna throw
I
up.
preserve your happiness even when you don't or can't. I had a hunch Daniel might prove fruitful in later times.
I'm going in so. Oh. He's so beautiful though. He's also beautiful.
I hurt my teeth biting my notebook that hard.
Oh wait, what?
I bit my notebook. Oof.
Yeah. So
I think full disclosure, full transparency, we had to watch it twice.
yeah.
Because the first time we watched it, we said nothing, basically, and we couldn't think.
I feel like I was just in shock the entire time.
Yeah.
Both in, like, a good way and a bad way at the same time, because that's how I felt the entire episode. Like, it's such good TV. It's so good. All of this is so good, but also
Oof.
I'm emotionally compromised. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I still feel crazy, but I still feel crazy, but
Let me see, you're going to have to tell me if it stops, when it stops recording, because I can't see.
I'll keep an eye on it. Wait, are we gonna watch The Insider? Or do we...
Do you want to hop immediately to the episode Insider, or do we want to get some thoughts out and then hop into the episode Insider?
I think we can watch it and then just do the discussion. Or, yeah.
Okay, so we'll come back after we watch the episode Insider.
So, well,
but yeah, that's all I immediately was like, heard me say out loud in the recording, Munchausen's by proxy. But yeah, because I think we were talking about, like, it's a very different type of abuse than Lestat's, which is, like, these explosive moments, and this is, like,
very physical.
This is prolonged. It was 4 days.
4 days is still crazy.
Yeah. Oof. I can't get over. And I took notes. You saw me bite my notebook. But, like, I had written... When we rewatched it, I wrote... There was that huge, like, big, loud yelling fight at the end of episode 4. And then this one starts with them being so lovey.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah.
Like, the quick contrast between that ending and they were back on the same page again.
Yeah.
Because you talked about that in your... We talked about that in our other video, too. And in your review, how, you know, when they first started doing the interview together, they were on the same page. And then in episode 4, there was this... what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know. They're
like
no
longer
a
on this.
division.
Yeah,
they're not seeing eye to eye anymore.
And then briefly, when we come back into this episode, all of a sudden after that big argument, they're back on the same page. I just want to know, like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
I think it's interesting.
And I think that was a little mini. It was like a smaller version of what we see here, where they have these periods of, like, being so in love, and then these periods where they are not. They fight crazy. And this episode, of course, was an extreme version of that, where you have Louis and Armand saying really hurtful things to each other, pulling everything out of their little, like, box of every vulnerability they've gotten and learned about the other, they use in that moment as a weapon. So you have, like, I can't get over... That's what Jacob was talking about when he was like, Louis says some things that I was, like, shocked that he said.
Oh, yeah. That had to be it. Because that was, like, that shocked me.
Him saying, my daddy vampire groomed me to be a little bitch.
That was a lot.
Considering what that means. That was very cruel.
Yeah. That was a lot.
And then Armand basically doing the, oh, you think you're funny? I'm about to be hilarious. And puts him in a saw trap for 4 days. But I thought about the Munchausen by proxy because when Louis was like, I'm in pain, it felt to me like almost like the vampire version of like Armand giving him like morphine to manage his pain before going back and doing whatever, and him waiting until he's at the limits of it to give him his blood and alleviate that pain. And that to me felt very Munchausen by proxy. Oh my goodness.
I'm still wondering. I think I already mentioned it because we I think I talked briefly about it while we were watching it, but I still want to know if, I don't know, I can't decide if he just if this is like another version of season 1 episode 2 of him just like letting Louis walk out or not, or if that was not, if
I think he ran when he heard what door. Because if he went out the front door, he could just come back in. But he went out the roof, and they showed there's no handle to get back in from the roof. Mm-hmm. So he's like, if Louis goes out that door, he's dead. So I think if he had gone out the front door, he might not have run so fast. But when he heard it was the metal door of the roof,
not coming back.
He immediately ran to get him because he doesn't want him dead.
Mm-hmm. Right. But still, even with that, like,
the fact that he let him run out there at all.
Yeah, but it just feels. I just can't stop thinking about. The whole. Are you gonna be like the gremlin? Or what was the nurse?
The good nurse.
The good nurse, and I'm like, you ended up playing both, and you got to play both of those roles, and letting Louis like walk out like that.
Yeah.
And I still want to know also, Louis even bringing that up and bringing up also if he was going to lick his boot or chop his hands off. I'm like, where's your point of reference from that? Like, what, I don't know, what have you heard or what have y'all already argued about or
that doesn't feel like a story that Armand would have told him.
Like, so I'm like,
hey, I remember Nicky, well, I cut off his hand.
So like, where's the frame of reference from like that that kind of like cruelty that he's like, this is something that, which one of these things are you gonna like, which one are you gonna be tonight? That's crazy. This crazy. Yeah. It's also crazy.
I'm wondering if it's like, so Armand is very, Louis said his methodology isn't violent, which that also makes me feel crazy because that's very clearly him talking about their relationship as well. His methodology in their relationship is not violent. He doesn't have to use violence to control Louis. He has other means of controlling Louis when he acts out.
Mm-hmm. This is a contrast between him and Lestat.
Whereas Lestat uses violence for any problem he faces. He's like, I know how to react to this.
I'm like,
smash, but like just destroy everything. Whereas like Armand is not that careless. His cruelty is very calculated, which is sometimes worse because like it's once again the difference between hurricanes and tornadoes, where it's like tornado, it's like 15-30 minutes an hour and then it's over, whereas hurricanes can last days of just all this destruction, and then you can get into the eye of it and then it keeps going. And so it's like you have Lestat, who's a tornado, he's just gonna roll through there, destroy everything, and then the moment's over. But like Armand, you're in that hurricane for a while.
That's a crazy way to put it, but also like really
well, I used this metaphor when I was trying to describe to people why I found episode 6 of season 1 more upsetting than episode 5. Because episode 5, it's just this big moment and then it's over, but episode 6 is this prolonged like moments
and there's
of
something
abuse.
about like the emotional effects watching that play out. that was extremely hard for me too, honestly, episode 6.
Episode 6, because I think, yeah, like I said, episode 5, it's so much in it, but it ends very quickly, but like...
It's so rough.
It's rough. It's so destructive. It's so much more destructive than episode 6, but I think because the destruction of episode 6 is pulled out, and I feel like that's the same here. It's not as explosive as episode 5, but it's like pulled out to be... It just goes on for so long. And how they made Louis the locus of Devil's Minion, because this is their version of Daniel getting locked in the basement when he goes to look for Lestat, but Armand was, you know, always kind of circling that area at that time, and so he catches him and he's like, what's your deal? But in this, it's Louis is the center of it. It's the fact that Louis found him fascinating enough to spend 10 hours with him, not tell Armand when he was coming back, and then call him boring and say, the 10 hours I spent with him was more fascinating than decades with you. And he's like, why? And the answer is because, I think it's the resentments, like all of the stuff with Claudia, but also Louis loves humanity, and Armand is not human-like at all. He's very much this monster.
I mean, even in their argument when they were like both poking at different things, he again calls on the fact that Louis whines about feeling the people's emotions as he kills them. Yeah. And like Armand referring to them in them being humans in the last episode as cattle, which is similar to Lestat. He sees them the petty musings of meat, but Louis doesn't see it that way. Man, and I have my notes. We should circle back to the beginning, because you mentioned something interesting about the third person.
Oh, yeah.
And I also know there's something else that you wanted to talk about, too. But go start with that.
Start with that? Oh, yeah. When Louis, like, the talk with the oneself, and, like, Daniel points it out, and he's like, grab that, and he talks about, like, people tend to revert to third person when they're circling, they're getting close to something they want distance from. And that's what Armand does in episode 4 when he's telling his story. He says he when he's talking about the version of himself in the painting. And it's inconsistent. He switches tenses frequently during that, but it's Amadeo or Arun or he did this or he had this or whatever. But it's not him because he can't get close to it.
And now Louis is doing that as they get closer to the big...
Because he's talking about the plotting, because he talked about Santiago breaking into the apartment, and that's when he pauses, and it's because he's getting close to something he doesn't want to talk about. And on that note, it's interesting how he's telling the story this go around, because he waited in season 1 to the end to be like, by the way, Lestat had turned Antoinette and she was a spy. But in this one, he's telling the stuff about Santiago that he couldn't have known at the time, but in chronology. So he's like, while this was happening, I wasn't paying attention, like, you know, blah, blah, blah. Which I find interesting as, like, a change in the story where I don't know. That's an interesting change to me.
I didn't really note that, but that actually is really, really interesting.
Because then, to me, that calls into question... Because one of the first things Armand says in the bench scene, he's like, mutiny's brewing. Which means, how much did Armand know about what Santiago was planning to do? And is it...
I think we're about to find out.
I know, I think we're going to find out next episode. But, like, is it how passive was Armand in knowing that was happening? How much does Louis know about that? Yeah. Oof. It's so... And then... one of the notes I took that was very uncharitable, but I do think is worth talking about, is that the first interview is very much a Louis Vanity project. It's him doing the vampire equivalent of getting together with his friend and telling a story, but telling it in such a way that he is... Everyone else is stupid, except for me. You know what I mean? It's like, I just broke up with my boyfriend. I'm going to talk to my friend about how much, like, I hate him, and he's never done anything for me. But it's, like, a long time since then. It's, like, 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah. From the first interview, the first time when he...
No, it's 30 years from when he broke it off with Lestat.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's saying it like it's fresh. And
that's
like
what I'm saying. Okay,
yeah.
I was trying to make sure which interview. You're talking about the one with
in the 70s.
first, okay, yeah.
I also feel like maybe he feels like, for whatever reason, he can't talk about it that way to Armand. For whatever reason. And he needs a space to be angry.
I mean, I can see that. And yeah, because, you know, like, he doesn't want to, like, keep bringing it up because obviously it's a point of contention in the relationship. But, like, sometimes you need to get it out. And that's also probably why was glad to be able to, like, talk through it
because
with,
this
like,
guy has
Daniel.
no expectations on. He doesn't know him. He doesn't know Lestat. Whereas, like, I think bringing it up with Armand already has his own baggage with Lestat. So it's like Louis can't talk about it because he feels like he's having to manage Armand's feelings about it too. And while Armand switches between hating Lestat and also hero worshipping him in a way that Louis doesn't hero worship him. Like, Louis has his own, like, rose-colored glasses about Lestat, but it's in a very different way than Armand does. And I'm wondering how much... Probably a lot, actually, if there's this much resentment. Like... it's so complicated. This is the problem with dating your ex's ex.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Gay
don't
people.
do it. Gay people, don't do it.
But yeah, it's like he wants to... It's like the same thing that Claudia is doing with Madeline.
I know y'all are going to do it anyway, so...
Okay. It's like the same thing that Claudia is doing with Madeline, where she's finding someone outside who doesn't know her, doesn't know anything about her, and she can just try and be this type of person. And so, like, Louis finding
interesting,
someone...
that's another human. That's
Yeah.
a human.
Yeah.
Human. Like...
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I think that's what he needs, but Armand can't understand
Armand
needing someone else because he wants to be everything for Louis.
He's like, what else do you need, Louis? I'm right here. Armand. And Louis just like...
Because Armand doesn't have anyone else. He wants them to be everything for each other. And he's not like Lestat in the sense that Lestat will just go out and find someone else if he needs to, no matter how insignificant that person is. Like, that's what Antoinette was. I need someone who's gonna be on my side. But Armand doesn't want that. Armand wants to wrap himself up so tight in another person that he can't see himself anymore. That he gets distracted by the other person. And I think that's, like, with Louis, it's the joy and the curse of someone understanding you well, because he understands him so well, but he also knows all of his pitfalls as a person. And he wants someone to accept him completely unconditionally, because I think he thinks that he does that for Louis too. And I think to an extent he does. He's willing to just, like, let things lie, but it's not realistic to just expect someone to let everything you do slide in the name of love, yeah. that's not a healthy dynamic either. But,
Well,
this isn't the healthy dynamics show. This is the... What was it, that one post that was like, this show isn't about vampires who happen to be gay, it's about gay people with personality disorders that happen to be vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's, and... Armand, they could never make me hate you. I'm sorry.
I mean, I still love him.
I love him so much, and like...
I just need him to chill out.
Yeah. And this adds such an interesting level, because we brought it up in our discussion video of Armand saying, I never harmed you.
Yes.
But how do we define harm? And I think this episode...
Is
it? Because I'm wondering if he says, I never harmed you, because that's a part of their agreed upon narrative. Because if it stopped when he forgot, then he never did harm him. But if Louis can remember that, then yes, he did.
That's also a thing. So I guess it's, is he able to still say that because Louis
didn't remember put a hand on him?
Or is it because Armand's like, well, his definition of harm is not lining up with what actually is harm? Mm-hmm. So which one? I'm wondering which one it is, and I'm also looking for more answers in the next episode as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, because that was harm. And
yeah, it was a lot of harm.
It was kind of oh, it's kind of scary to watch.
Yeah, I kept joking between saying he put them in the saw trap and also like he took them to Silent Hill, but like,
the contrast from the very beginning of the episode, though, it was so fun at first. I was like, let's go, because like, and, honestly, I've been waiting for the San Francisco scene since season 1. As soon as they showed me season 1 San Francisco, I've been waiting. Even when I was like, you know what, Daniel and Louis, I don't care. I don't know if I care about what's going on with y'all anymore. That was a lie. Actually, it was denial. I am fully back and loving. I love the way that this started. I love the jazzy little music. I love the way that they just kind of introduced San Francisco in, and Louis telling this little story of like, yeah, you were way into me, but we didn't actually do anything, just so you know. And then as they start trying to piece together what happened, it goes from, hey, jazzy little scene in San Francisco to horror. Do you want to experience the horrors?
Yeah.
I'm experiencing the horrors. They didn't ask. They
didn't wait for your answer. They're like, well, it's happening.
It's happening.
Oof. I have to admit something.
I'm scared.
I really enjoyed the dynamics, but how the dynamic changed between Daniel and Louis in this.
Wait, can you say that again? Say it to the camera.
No.
Say it again.
I want to preface this. Don't worry about it, but I do want to preface this
I'm
with,
literally like,
for so long I have said, and it was true, I did not care about young Daniel. I thought he was the least interesting part of season 1. I didn't think about him the way that other fans thought about him. Like, and by think about him, I mean spared thoughts for him in any way, shape, or form.
Only in regards to, what could happen in San Francisco.
Well, even that, I did not care.
I know. I'm aware.
Yeah, well, I'm telling the people at home who
who
haven't heard this for like over a year.
Continue your confessional.
I didn't care, and when I heard that Luke was here, I was like, this is going to be the part of the season I do not care about at all, because I don't care about this at all. I don't find Daniel that interesting. Blah, 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 blah. I'm here for vampires. However, I was actually impressed with how well Luke carried this off. I was actually impressed with how the writing made me care about the dynamic that was forming in Dubai between Louis and Daniel.
Wait, finish your...
And yeah, I felt I understood.
The ending made me insane. Okay, continue.
Which the
ending, the Louis. Okay, continue. I'm sorry.
The thing that Louis told Daniel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Daniel reading what Louis told him. I'm like, I am going to go crazy right now.
What's so
I'm
good
about
about
to bounce
that?
Off walls.
To me, one of the things that is so good about that is, you know, Armand's whole thing is looking for people who want to die. But it seems like in this, he's finding people and making them want to die.
Yeah, because
Daniel
was resistant.
I like very
resistant. I mean, that's why he wants that's what he wants what they got, because he wants to be able to, like, fully live that out.
Yeah.
Like,
so it's like he makes him want to die, which is similar to what Santiago does on stage in the whole death performance, which I think is interesting. They changed it to Santiago when in the book that was Armand's role.
mm-hmm.
So, and then you see him do it here masterfully. But also, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I think it's really interesting. No, this is part of it. I'm talking about that, but like, I think it's really interesting that Louis, a suicidal person, and Armand says, "Am I gonna have to be on suicide watch for the next 1,000 years?" Gives him the will to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
He tells him the thing that allows him to push through all of these awful situations, and every time he has this life disappointment, he comes back to what Louis told him, and Louis gives him the will to keep going.
I honestly think that's really interesting how Armand does seek these people out, or he puts the idea into their heads. Meanwhile, his whole husband is also experiencing the horrors all the time. I don't know, I find that interesting.
And I think in a manner of speaking, while Armand likes being the nurse, for lack of a better word, he does start to feel resentful. Mm-hmm. Because he's like, what am I not able to give you that allows you to, why am I not enough for you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it's like Louis resents him for coddling him, and Armand resents having to coddle him.
Mm-hmm. I think he likes to being able to take care of Louis, but he hates the fact that he's, like you said, he's not enough. It's that, like, he wants to be able to, like, he enjoys his, like, role, I guess, in the relationship, but also the vulnerability is like, but why am I not enough though?
Yeah.
And it's
not
contradictory.
Yeah. I was like, and not to imply anything, but I immediately think of in episode 3 of the Am I Not Enough and Lestat Laughing. Because, like, that's how Armand feels. Every single time he's like, I'm just not enough for him. I can't get him to want to keep living with me. Because then he talks about, like, the triannual Louis fuck off and find me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also something that's from Devil's Minion that they changed to be for Louis and Armand, because Daniel would continually run away, and then Armand would wait until Daniel was like, actually, I'm coming back, and he's like, okay, and each time he accepts him back into the fold. But in this, he's tired of it now. He's like, why do you have to keep running away from me? Louis made fun of it, and it is a very funny image of Armand sitting at home, literally picking the lint off the couch, waiting for Louis to come back.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of like a dog in that way. just like, yeah. I forget that's in my brain where it's just like, well, what do you do whenever I'm gone? Oh, it's from SpongeBob. And like, he's like, what do you do when I'm gone? He goes, wait for you to come back.
Aww.
And that's it, because he wants to be everything for him. And I think that scene in the bar when Louis invites him to come along was, I don't know if it was a genuine, well, I think it was like, you two have your fun, because he's like, well, he's gonna be dead, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But then
that's not what it was. That's not what went down.
Yeah. Well, he did bite him, but that's
Louis?
Yeah, Louis.
Well, yeah, but that's just because Daniel pissed him off, because Daniel stupid and high, but still.
Yeah.
And I feel like, you know, if he hadn't have started going off on his own little tangent of, you're not living up, like, you're not using this how you should, whatever, that Louis wouldn't have. I don't know, I don't think he would have.
Oh, yeah, no.
So, like,
well, I mean, like, maybe, because I'm like, I know I guess in the book that at the end is when Daniel's like, I want, give me. So, yeah, it depends.
Yeah, if he hadn't, you know.
If he hadn't asked for the dark gift, Louis wouldn't have attacked him.
Yeah, I mean, that's why he still was like, actually, I need him to live even after all of that, so. And Armand's like, that's different. That's weird.
Mm-hmm. And I think, like, I mean, part of it is shrewdness on Armand's side, because that's an empty, like, a loose thread you can't, if you're trying to be smart, you can't let this guy go knowing all of this history. But Louis doesn't care. I'm wondering how much truth there was to his Armand's little accusation that he purposefully was writing this very inflammatory account of Lestat, hoping that Lestat would find it and like answer him.
We haven't talked about that. We haven't talked about that little piece.
The phone call.
The phone call was I keep saying crazy. Everything is like making me literally. I just want to like.
But before we get to the phone call,
run laps. Okay.
In the same thing of like Daniel saying what he said, I had written down that very briefly. The Claudia, him talking about like Louis talking about wanting to sit there, let the sun bleach his bones, purify his putrid soul.
Yes.
And I've been thinking about this line recently, because in the book there's a line that I really enjoyed where there's a scene, I guess potential spoilers for the future, but let me keep it vague. They purposefully burn something down, something small, in the grand scheme of things, and Claudia is like, well, fire it purifies, and Louis responds with, no, fire just destroys. And so there's this idea, however, that he's sharing with Daniel of fire being that purification, that going through this, literal crucible, I suppose, like, would refine him in some way from whatever this, like, messy, like, describes himself as putrid, so, like, rotten. So, yeah, it's taking, like, this rotted thing and, like, through the fire, refining it. And then when Armand brings up Claudia, that's when Louis runs out onto the roof.
And he's like,
almost for that purification.
Don't you hear her? That was...
And the fact that he's saying, like, Paris, and he's like, and what? Like, almost like he's having trouble remembering.
Yeah.
He just knows something happened in Paris that...
And I'm trying to figure out what's the meaning behind that. Like, well, I don't know. I know we're about to... They said that this episode sets up for the rest of what happens for the rest of this season. And I'm just so eager to, like... I need the answers now, though. I need them now. please.
Yeah, so now let's get to the phone call.
Yes. Oh, yeah, the phone call.
Armand's saying, I'm not telling you where he is. So, I keep calling it the phone call, because it does feel like a phone call. Like,
It's a phone
ring,
call.
ring.
It's a vampire phone call.
Yeah. Oof, literally, and I said this during the episode, but literally Armand channeling Lestat.
That was really, honestly, the second time I watched it, because like we said, we rewatched it. For some reason, it was really hard for me to watch, because, like...
It's really upsetting.
Because Louis is sitting, like,
he's
laying there,
saying
like,
no.
like, multiple times.
It almost felt to me like Armand was reminding him why he's afraid of him. Like, he was talking all, like, this big game, and, like, Armand feels that there's some latent desire here. But the minute he's like, I have him on the phone, Louis like, I don't want to talk to him.
Are you sure you want to keep thinking about him? Do you remember why?
Yeah.
That, I don't know, it was really, like, I don't know, the reaction
it's like,
I had.
It almost feels like Armand, there's a lot of Armand making threats here, and the threat could be, I could tell him where you are, and he could find you, but through my graciousness, I am not.
Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like.
The only saving grace is, like, it's almost like he's like, the only reason why Lestat can't find you is because he's your maker. And he's like, but I can be his conduit if you want.
Is that what you want?
Yeah.
Because you keep thinking about it and keep talking about him. I'm like, stop, please.
Stop, this isn't you.
This isn't you.
No.
Please. Hands on chest. This isn't you. Literally, as I have a breakdown myself, trying not to cry. That's fine.
And I think it's that moment, because it's after that that Louis gets up and he has, I think he almost like invokes somehow, I think with the way he's speaking, like, let's go back to our game. The game where I am Mitra, and the game where you are Arun. And
I don't even think
Armand
it was really
concedes.
like Armand. I mean, that Louis was the one that invokes it. I think Louis is like, hey, I need him, and let me try to apologize and mend this little piece right here. And if you can like give him to me, then like we can still be good. And Armand.
Or it's Louis making the request, and then Armand saying like, let's play the game again.
Yes,
that. I get you.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree actually.
Yeah.
Because he sees he's gotten. I feel like he sees he's gotten to a place where Louis is willing to play. Or when I say play, that sounds weird. But
I know, not play, but
when I say play, I mean like the roles. I mean like actors.
Revisit the roles that they have set in the beginning of their relationship.
Yeah, when he talks about the setting of roles. The episode begins with Louis talking about how they designated these roles that they decided to play, and it allows them to have a balance. And so you see this huge show of Armand's power, and then him agreeing to go back to that dreamy balance that Louis says at the beginning. And that's very insane making. And to talk about like circular like recursion like Louis saying the Armand saw that I had
very calm right now, but I'm screaming.
Yeah. The Armand saw that I had some fondness for you, and then saying that whole thing, and then when Armand comes back from his hunt, and Louis prompting him to say that, he's like, well, I was talking about the 70s, and then Armand says it verbatim, and then Louis cuts in to finish his thought. Ugh. And Armand with his, it's like a mask, like it's like he knows he's been caught out, but he doesn't know how. And so he can't give anything away.
And he doesn't. I love, and you know that's what it is, because like throughout the rest of this season so far, we've seen all the other little like vulnerability and like little cracks and everything on that gorgeous face. And and then right here, it does look very much, you can see the difference. Like, it does very much feel like a mask. And I feel like, I was like, huh, what are we about to get into?
Which is so...
I'm losing it.
Assad is such a great actor. He embodies Armand so well, because that's a thing I know Lestat brings up about Armand having this mask-like calm. And then it can just shatter at any moment. And then it goes back and it's very jarring to Lestat. But, like, Assad is so good at playing this really complicated... This character who emotes in a very complicated way. I also loved... Speaking of emoting in a complicated way, I really loved how stagey, and it felt like a theater performance when they were having their yelling at each other, their fight, their argument. It felt, the way that Assad started talking, I was like, okay, theater training. But, like, it felt like theater, like, the way he delivered his lines felt like the camera shouldn't be here, but we should be here, and they're facing each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I felt that, yeah.
Yeah, it felt so theatrical in the sense that it felt like it was a stage play. And it the whole thing with the set, the limited sets, the only 3 people, it felt like a 3-actor play. It's to bring up a reference, or someone they made a reference to earlier in the season, like No Exit by Satra, where it's Hell is Other People play. These 3 people stuck in this room that they can't leave for various reasons.
You know, this show just... It's so good. It's literally so good. All the details.
But I do find it interesting that whatever power Armand has to edit is very fallible. Because all they had to do was talk about it for it to fall away. So it only works if they agree to maintain the parameters where it works. And I think that's a big reason why Armand didn't want the interview.
And that makes sense, especially I feel like if it's almost like an extension of like the hypnosis that like a next level version of that. Yeah, because the way you hypnotize people is you keep repeating words in a certain way, and then you say it again, and then you're drawing like this. It's a psychological response so that when you say it again, something happens, and so that repetition, so that hypnosis, that hypnotic quality to how he gets that control. But another fun thing is that you can't hypnotize everybody. There has to be some level of willingness to be hypnotized. So if you're like super resistant, like you can't be hypnotized. So I'm wondering what that implies about Daniel and Louis' lack of remembering. Because I can see Daniel being like, I'm fine with putting this whole night behind me. And even Louis to an extent of being like, I'm fine with forgetting this ever happened, so that we can go back to how it was before. Yeah. Which wasn't great, but it wasn't this bad. Because it makes the reactions to this, I don't think Armand's ever done anything like this before. I don't think so either.
I think...
I don't think so. Maybe I'm biased. But I feel nothing to like this degree. I feel like
this is their version of like episode 5 last season
just like the boiling water, just like
this explosion, this thing that's been boiled, and it happens ironically, I guess it happened a little around 30 years, and both times they reach this boiling point of like all the resentments they've been harboring for all this time, and it just explodes. And then, in a way, manner of speaking, both parties being like, let's act like this didn't happen so we can start again.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing is, like, it's broken. Or you can't put... I keep thinking you can't put the genie back in the bottle. But, like, that's all I can think of is, like, once it's out, you can't just put it back in. And even this Band-Aid is literally a Band-Aid. Because the minute he starts talking to Daniel about it...
And here we are.
Yeah. And I'm of the opinion, and maybe the show will prove me wrong, but I'm of the opinion that all the other little things that Louis doesn't remember properly are, like, the product of allowing himself to think that things were different and not heavy edits. I think this is the...
Oh, yeah. I
think this is the only, if not one, of very few heavy edits.
I think so, too. I mean, again, I might also just be like, this is my bias, and also maybe the show will prove us both wrong, but I also think that, too. Also, because then that's, like, a lot of covering up to keep up with. To keep... You know, making
because
sure that
we see, like, the way that it falls apart is if you talk about it. So I feel like
if
it's
there
like
were
that
other major moments, then that would...
This is their
it would have fallen
upon,
apart.
Yeah.
A lot earlier than this.
Oh, yeah. But I do think just talking about it with someone who's willing to question, even though I think Daniel over questions, but, like, it's like, he takes a lot of swings and sometimes he hits something. So it's kind of like, he is necessary in that regard of, like, he needs someone who's going to take a lot of those swings, and even though he misses, every so often he hits something and it's crucial. But yeah. I'm looking... The serial killer stuff. I love it so much. I think it's so interesting to reference the 70s serial killer, like... I don't say boom, because that has, like, a weird vibe, but, like, I can't think of the other... The phenomenon in the 70s where there was a lot of serial killers, and a lot of them targeted, young gay men, and I do think it's funny that Daniel was like, are you the Zodiac Killer? And I'm like, that's not his MO, first of all. Daniel the Zodiac Killer's MO was killing couples in cars. That was his MO.
I didn't know that.
I
actually don't know that much about the Zodiac Killer.
You don't have to.
No
one has to. Some of us used to watch BuzzFeed Unsolved. Because I remember there was a joke someone made that Lestat was the Axeman of New Orleans. And then someone had said who they thought Louis might have been as, like, a joke. And then this came out and they were like, wait, there are actually serial killer vibes here? And the thing with the bleach and the tarp and the tape.
Oh, that was wild.
And the newspaper on the windows. And it felt so serial killer. And then I made, when I brought it up, it's because I had said it before we had hit record the second time, that it felt, that scene where, like, Is That What Makes You Fascinating scene with Armand and Daniel reminded me so much of, in the movie Red Dragon and in the show Hannibal, when Francis Dolarhyde has the journalist Freddie, well, in the movie and in the book, it's the journalist Freddie Lowndes, and he's, like, trying to make him understand the extent of his power, and he has him, like, he has him glued to a chair by the skin, and he's, like, showing him all the slides of the people he killed, and he's just like, do you see? Except this is Armand trying to see what makes Daniel so fascinating, and Daniel being like, I just work here.
I just got here.
Yeah. To me, it felt like a very clear Red Dragon reference, but also, that's also because, I've only seen 3 shows. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, I can kind of feel it too. I can see the vibe. Yeah.
It's like, what if the Red Dragon actually had abilities? But yeah, I think also because he's a journalist, like, he's making witness. He's making an example out of him. Mm. And then the burning, which also happened in Red Dragon, except it's switched. But there's a lot of elements here that I kept thinking of like, Freddie Lowndes was burned, and then after that whole thing, and then you have the charred body of Louis in the other room begging him to stop, and that got me. I think I was ready to enjoy the Daniel torture, but I couldn't because Louis was in so much pain.
No, because I was so excited. I was like, let's go. I'm ready to see Armand be, a little fucked up. But like, then it was like, oh, wait. Louis screaming in the background and just like going through this like terrible pain. It was very jarring, and it was very hard to listen to, and kind of not traumatic for me, but it was just like a lot. It was a lot. I wasn't the level of emotion that was evoked there was,
it was a lot.
It was going through it. That was rough.
However, even though it was super scary, I do still find it kind of funny when he's slamming Daniel into the ground with his mind while he's saying, like, it's fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. As he's, like, slamming into the ground in the background. I did think that was darkly funny. That was instant karma. That was Louis.
Louis' like, watch your mouth.
Yeah. How did it do that? It, like, tangled with my other earring.
Watch your mouth.
I was being disrespectful.
You were. You're disrespectful.
Yeah. Anyway. Caught on my little jawbone. Anyway, the other thing I wanted to talk about is, I think I want to talk, because I can talk briefly, we can both talk very briefly, because it's not that long, but like the Daniel pointing out that Louis was lonely.
Yes.
He was in a relationship.
And yeah, he still felt lonely. I think he just, Louis really craves that human connection.
I think it's because he chooses these what he decides to do to get like this simulation of connection is luring these men and then killing them, but it's not doing anything. So like him telling Daniel his story, despite the fact that he's addled on drugs, despite the fact that at the beginning it doesn't really matter who he is, it just matters that he's there and what he promises is someone who's gonna listen. But he does end up actually having that connection, that intimacy, and everyone needs to have that level, and it can't just be one person. To Armand's chagrin.
And I think that's the other very human aspect of like Louis, like he desperately wanted to keep that thread between him and his family. That's a very human thing, not just the fact that he needed the connection to humanity, but that it's since he is the most human vampire of all, and that's a very human thing to like, you can't just like rely on romantic love. There are other types of love that are still important in someone's life, and these other two vampires don't seem to get that because they're so removed from any kind of like human aspect of that's not what they embody. That's not that's not relevant to them. I mean, maybe Lestat has, I don't know.
I was gonna say,
but it's different.
I don't even think it's that they don't need it, but I think it's they don't understand that they need it. When Armand and Lestat were in a relationship with each other, it still crumbled because you need more than just each other, even though they're both like, to an extent, they're kind of like, I have this one person who I want everything from. But Lestat is also willing to go out and get cheap, like, not fulfillment, what's the word I'm looking for, but finding, like, little cheap, like, microdosing on connection by forming these flimsy attachments for a night. And, like, through infidelity. But, like, it's because he also knows he needs it, but he pretends he doesn't, and that's just, I'm capricious. I need to float around, and it's, you need friends.
You need friends?
You don't have any friends. Because, like, the one thing I always thought about in season 1 was when people were like, Louis doesn't have anything. I'm like, Lestat also doesn't have anyone. Lestat doesn't have anyone either. In, like, episode 2, when he's trying to get Louis to leave his family, it's because, as far as Lestat's concerned, he doesn't have anyone, and Louis, he's trying to make them on the same, he's like, well, you're all I have, so I need to be all that you have. And he does it in a very forceful, well, he doesn't force him to stop seeing his family, that kind of happens on its own, the degradation of those relationships, but yeah, Lestat doesn't have anyone.
But he doesn't, I think the thing is that he doesn't get why Louis is mourning it so badly and still trying for so long to keep that connection.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't, because he doesn't, as messed up, or I guess as dysfunctional as Louis' family dynamic is, it's dysfunctional in a way that is kind of normal. Whereas I would say the dysfunction that Lestat grew up with is much more extreme. And so he doesn't understand why someone would be nostalgic for that sort of connection when he spent his entire childhood and young adulthood wishing to be anywhere other than where he was.
There are also other layers to that. But
yeah, I think also you can't ignore how race and culture play into that, because, like, family ties are so much more important with people of color, because it needs to be your family because no one else is looking out for you.
Especially, like, during that time period, like, you have to, like, sit close to, like, your family and your community, and if you don't, without that, like, there's no other, like, safety net. Yeah. And that's kind of what Louis didn't have any other safety net.
Yeah, because
we're getting back into season 1. So.
Yeah, well, it's all technically, this is part 2 and not season 2, so it is just season 1 extended. But yeah, you're completely right, because, like, once Louis doesn't have that safety net, that's also the exact same episode that you have the domestic violence. And Claudia has to step up and basically be taking care of him.
I mean, she ends up filling that, like, role for...
Yeah.
Literally, that's what she says. She's like, well, I'm supposed to be your sister. And she takes on this caregiver role, trying to nurse him back. And, yeah.
Yeah, and I think when we're talking about, because what I was thinking about when you brought in Lestat, when you said both of these vampires, I think what Armand feels about Daniel in this moment, I think is also what he maybe felt about Claudia in the 40s, and that's also what Lestat felt about Claudia back in Rue Royale, is why do you need someone else? And Claudia is this person who's she's getting between us because they don't understand that you get different things from different types of relationships, and they feel like you can. And I think it has to do with how messy their relationships have been, where, I mean, we have to talk about the fact that they're both victims of incest, both pseudo and actual. I say victims, but like they both had, I guess, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
They both have a history with incest, and I think they always have that blurring of what someone is supposed to be, and so they don't see as clear division between familial and romantic and sexual.
While he had the dysfunction in
he had
his
the dysfunction.
family,
He didn't have that element.
It wasn't
in
that
his
kind
family.
of. Yeah.
And so he
like
does
that.
understand the difference between like what a family member offers you and what a lover is supposed to offer you, and also what a friend is supposed to offer you. But they don't. That has always been messed up. I think, yeah, it has to do with they're bringing their baggage into the relationship, and I mean, everyone brings their baggage into the relationship. Louis bringing his baggage into the relationship, but it's so. But yeah, the loneliness, I think, because he needs friends.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, my thesis statement.
Here we go.
Is Louis talking about Lestat and how he loved music, but he basically played it like a robot. And I talked about it on Tumblr, but there was a video that I saw a really long time ago of Anne Rice talking about vampiric creativity. And in that video, she said that vampires can't make anything artistically valid. That is the realm of humanity. And that at the source of it, the thing about vampires is that they don't you can only make art if you can offer something to the world. And vampires don't offer anything to the world. They're actually a burden on the world. Which kind of she writes in the books through Marius when he's talking to Lestat, because Lestat's like, what's the purpose of vampires? And Marius is like, there isn't any. We're basically a parasite latched onto the human world. There is no reason for evil, and we are evil. So you just have to make the best of it. But yeah, all that to say, like, they can't make art. And so you have in episode 4 Louis' frustration that he can't take these photographs, and because he doesn't see the world anymore like a human, and you need that. You need mortality in order to be able to understand human life, and because they don't have mortality anymore, they're immortal. They can't make art because when it comes down to it, all art is about death. Or death gives human life urgency, and that gives it meaning, and they want to make meaning, but they can't. And then he talks about how Lestat loves music, but he's not good at it. Not in the way that, like, a human musician is, because he can play the songs perfectly, but it's like listening to a player piano at that point. And then you have the plays, which are so weird, and they have a following, not a big following, but like a cult following, because of their uncanniness. I almost think of it like how The Room has a cult following, because it's so uncanny.
Yeah.
It's not done the way a person would. They don't say things the way a person does, but people love it because it's so weird. And that's what the plays felt like to me. And it's like, I don't know if you've seen the thing with like Tommy Wiseau, how like he premiered it as a drama, but when people kept laughing, he then pretended it was a comedy. But yeah, so that's what I kept thinking of with the plays, and it's like vampires can't make anything. The only way they can make something is if they kill someone and then make them into a vampire. They can only create through death, but they can't make art. And they all want to paint. So they all want to make art, because I was thinking like Marius paints. But did you notice in episode 4 when he was talking about the painter, he was like, Paul Mavecchio painted this portrait, and he's like, in my maker's studio, who was also a painter, albeit one of lesser skill. Marius is not a good painter, is what Armand said, basically. Yeah, and then like Marius just creates, even though he can see more, that just means that he makes more detailed paintings. That doesn't mean they're better. And I think it's really interesting that, like, Louis gravitates towards abstract. There's a lot of abstract art in the Dubai penthouse. But yeah, it's this, they all have this desire to create. And there's this line in The Vampire Armand where I didn't get it when I was reading the book, but I got it when I watched the show. And it's the fact that he's fixated on the phrase, not by human hands. And he says, this is a phrase that's always been applied to my work. And it's like, because you can tell immediately that this person didn't make this. It is someone trying to imitate what a person makes. The joke of they make AI art, basically.
Yeah. I had to, when I was trying to explain what Jude had talked about to me, and also what they posted on their Tumblr, I was trying to explain it to my brother, and I was like, it's just like AI art.
Yeah. It is. It's like, and because of that.
Wait, he's gonna be mad. I put him on blast.
He's not gonna watch this.
You see, I sent him the link.
Okay.
Maybe he will.
We'll see. Well, he can text you and be mad about it. Yeah. It's imitations of that, and I love that he's drawn to, he being Louis is drawn to abstract art, because now it's conveying the human experience without representation, or like, to use like art terms, there's abstract and there's representative, and representative just means that there are figures that you can see and you can interpret, and then abstract means there is no figure, there is no like person that you can see, but it's trying to do it in a way that's not as straightforward, hence abstract. But yeah, because they have the Francis Bacon's, they have the Basquiat, in a way even the Bichet in the dining room is no forms, and is an abstract representation of both vines and like human figures. And I think that's really a really interesting thing to give the vampires, and I think it's really interesting that Louis, who is so wedded to his love for humanity, does not like the theater. But Claudia, who has a very tenuous tie to humanity, if one remaining at all, immediately falls in love with it. Because she has no problem with having a vampiric worldview, whereas I would say Louis very much does. And Armand loves his plays. He thinks they're great because he also doesn't have, he has a vampiric worldview. And I think I can very clearly see a Lestat getting frustrated with what they make. Because while he wants to have a vampiric worldview, he's in love with what people make. He can't abandon civilization because he
likes the art.
To get a little inside, one of the things that his biggest fear is lack of meaning. And humans always imbue meaning in what they try and do. And so he pretends like he isn't in love with it, but he is. With most things, Lestat pretends like he doesn't feel a certain way, but he does. He wants to get a good grade in being a monster. He's very concerned with performing being a vampire correctly, and that's why he gets upset with Louis, who doesn't really want to perform being a vampire. And he's like, you're supposed to do this way. And it's like, there is no right or wrong way to do it. It's just whatever
Someone decided some rules? Like, okay.
Yeah. Ugh, it's really, yeah, so that's something that I think is a really interesting facet about these vampires. Because I think, like, in a lot of others, like, you do have the vampire artist or the vampire poet or, like, the vampire musician who makes these beautiful compositions. And this one, it's like, they can't. They can memorize, but they can't create.
And I feel like it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Because they've been removed from life. So they can only imitate life
very
they
sad,
are imitations of life.
like,
They're corpses pretending to
sense.
be living.
Mm-hmm.
And so they can only imitate what the living do.
Yeah. It's really sad.
It's
but,
very
like I said, it's really, it makes a lot of sense though.
Yeah.
I don't know, I find it really interesting. When you brought it up, I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's why Louis gets so frustrated, because it is the show's version of the painter thing, which I loved from the book a lot. It was one of those things that I was like, this is such a... It's a moment that feels disjointed from the rest of the book, but is actually really, like, a good character moment of Louis getting his portrait painted, and then seeing how he's being portrayed, and then killing the painter because he doesn't like what he sees. And then talking to the gallery guy, and him comparing his work to Gordon Parks, and Louis seeing exactly where he... I don't want to say like it's because his art is bad, but it's because his art is odd. His art doesn't have that human quality, and so that makes him realize that is in its own way a portrait, because like I'm gonna talk a little bit about what's the word I'm looking for? I guess artistic pedagogy, where it's like, I have a degree, but it's like, and my focus in college was photography, specifically self-portraiture. So I have a lot of thoughts about this. And it's, a portrait is, all portraits are self-portraits. All photographs are also self-portraits, in my opinion. Because the camera becomes the eye of the photographer. So whatever they show you is them showing you what they see. And in a way it becomes a reflection of the photographer. And it's an invitation to step into someone else's point of view. So all portraits in some way reveal something of the photographer, because they're literally showing you through their eye, and you're invited to look and see through their eye, with the camera as the proxy for the eye. And Louis is not satisfied with how clinical his eye has become. But yeah, anyway, all that to say, like, all portraits are self-portraits, and all of it reveals what the person thinks. And I just have a lot to say about photography because I paid money to learn about it. Yeah.
That's interesting. I really love it. Especially since it's such like an important layer in this.
It's so, I was so thrilled when I saw the camera, because I'm like, I have a lot to say about this.
Yeah. We'll have more to say.
Yeah, I feel like this is something I want to get into and do something more when this season is over and we have all the information.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to dig into Louis and photography and all of that jazz.
I'm excited.
Oof, I have a lot of opinions, as you can tell. But yeah, I stopped taking notes and we can both talk a lot about this, which is Jacob Anderson's acting. And how visceral it is in this particular episode.
Yes. You brought that up. Just like when he's talking to Daniel, and Daniel starts pissing him off because he's being annoying and disrespectful. I mean, he's high, but still, Louis trying to like be very vulnerable.
He's talking about him contemplating suicide.
Yeah,
and Daniel's like, guess you didn't appreciate life enough anyway.
What?
Yeah, and Louis like, there's like an old, I think it was unfortunately referencing, like, I think it was on like 4chan, but it was circulated around, and that's where I saw it on like Tumblr, of this person saying they were in a psych ward, and they were like sobbing, and the nurse said like, are you like legit sad? And it shocked them so much they stopped crying. And that's all I thought of.
Honestly, that was the reaction, because Jacob, Louis, was just like, his face is like so incredulous. He's like,
Yeah, he's like, what?
are you for real right now?
And I love that Jacob Anderson is willing to... Yeah, I just love how visceral Jacob allows his performance to be, where, like, in season 1 when he's yelling at Lestat, and, like, he's not afraid to, like, let it be kind of gross. Because, like, he spits when he's yelling at Daniel. And it's, like, I love how, like...
It's being raw. Let the
Yes.
emotion be raw.
Yeah, as opposed to being like, how do I portray this in a way that's like very pretty?
I'm trying to keep it cute.
No, he's like, I'm going in, and I really love. He's.
Anytime he has to give like a strong emotion on the show, he's so good. Whether it's like extreme like sadness or anger or what, it's always. Jacob Anderson, the actor that you are.
We're gonna get you that Emmy.
We're gonna get you that Emmy. I don't care, like.
When I had looked up,
it
it technically came. It missed the early entry for Emmys, but it didn't miss the. It aired like 2-ish.
If we're able to issue that Emmy, we're giving you that Emmy.
I think it aired like a week before like the final deadline. So it could still be submitted for consideration because it aired within the window.
Are getting the Emmy for you, Jacob Anderson.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen. I need one for Delaney as well. I know she wasn't in this
yeah.
episode, but
But you know, even when she's not there, she's there because they talked about Claudia.
yeah. So you know what? Emmy for you as well.
I love. Oh God, this episode was so good. It was so good.
It was. I don't know. I really loved it. Even with all the different emotions that it made me feel, I loved it. It was. I don't know. It was fantastic, and I'm really excited to see where we go from here in the remaining episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe it? We only have
3 more.
That's crazy. You know how long I've been waiting for this season to come out, and now it's already halfway over.
Yeah. That's why we need season 3. Yeah. Ugh, this was so great. I'm sure that I'm gonna go to bed tonight and be like, there's also this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Rip to you having to watch a bunch more times for the recap.
I'm going to literally start climbing walls. Because I have to, I'm going to be writing about this. I'm going to be rewatching it several times. I don't even know how I'm going to write about this, to be honest. Like, I still feel so, like, it's rattling my brain. But, you know, after talking through it, I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe we'll get something out. So stay tuned for that. You know, you should be, like, reading our blog, articles, whatever, reviews, anyways, on our website.
Mm-hmm.
And you should also be following us on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter, because why not?
Mm-hmm. To get updates when we post
And
all
these are
the
cool.
articles. Yeah, for sure. Ugh.
But yeah.
We started filming.
Oh, we're being honest.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna be for real. We started filming at like 3:30.
Yeah.
It is 9:03.
We watched it a couple of times. And
We had because we barely said anything, and we just kept staring at each other in disbelief when it was over. Like, I can't believe this. I can't believe this. Not in like a bad way. In
It's
like
just
the
like-
best way.
this just happened, you know? Like, wow.
This is real TV.
Real TV.
I
Real
think-
TV is back.
Yeah, I think my last thing that works as like a wrap up also is that I remember when I watched season 1, I was really impressed with how much it felt like the writers don't care about I was like, they're prioritizing the story over fan service. And this episode, I think, also felt that way to me. It's less about, like... It's about telling the story in the best way they can, and it doesn't... They don't mind... They don't care about being mean in order to tell the story the way it needs to be told. And I really enjoyed... I love that. In, like, this era of people making TV to avoid Twitter backlash, or like to appear a certain way or make sure the fans stay happy, like when it comes to, like, fan activity, like shipping or whatever. I don't think this show doesn't. The writing does not care about shipping at all. It really doesn't. It's not about being like, are you Team Armand or Team Lestat? It's like, how do these relationships inform what's happening? How are these... It's all tools to serve the narrative. Sorry for the extreme drop in quality. We ran out of space on all of the cards, the memory cards for my camera doing this. So we're just gonna film the outro on this, and we hope so you forgive the fact that it looks like it was filmed in 2006. But yeah, so it doesn't care about shipping, it cares more about the story and the narrative. All that to say, it was great, this episode. I think it follows up on things that have happened before, and it's setting up things that are going to happen in the future.
I am so scared.
I'm so scared, and I'm so excited. It's never been so over. We've never been so back.
Are we making that like our official?
I don't know. It's all I can think of when I think about this show, this season. It's taken my it's exceeded all of my expectations so far. I love it. It's been so great.
I'm having a great time.
I'm having a fantastic time. I mean that genuinely.
But also, again, I'm emotionally compromised, but that's okay, because I'm having a good time.
Yeah. Well, we had left this on our last video, but just once again, reminder, if you have any ideas for what you want to film in the future, leave them in the comments. How crazy did this episode make you? Leave that in the comments. And yeah, that's all we have. Look out for a recap coming out later this week.
I will be writing it.
And then, later I'll get this video out. It's gonna be kind of a monster, but that's only because the episode was so good.
It was so good. We had too much to talk about.
Yeah,
and we had rewatched it so many times because we felt crazy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Oh, this was great. We'll see you.
Comment, subscribe.
Like, comment, subscribe.
Bye.
Bye.